Good afternoon, everyone. I want to once again welcome you all into the chamber. Before we begin committee meeting tonight, we're going to hear from our Commissioner, Donna Scota, to bring us an update.
Good evening, everyone. Nice to see you. Happy New Year. This is the first time I've been here since New Year? Yeah, it has. Okay. Happy New Year. I usually forget to say that. What I'm going to talk about tonight is, I'll be brief. We were seeing this kind of real increase in all respiratory viruses. Influenza A, B, influenza A particularly bad in Summit County. B, most people probably have immunity to it anyway right now, but a lot of A, a lot of B increase. But it's starting to hit and come back down again, which is good. So it's kind of peaked, we're hoping, and it's coming back down. We don't have great numbers for RSV. There's not a good data source for it, but what we do know is that those numbers as well are coming down based on hospitalizations and positive tests. When you look at COVID, you know, there's always the news about the news circulating, whatever. And right now it's JN1 is predominantly dominant. And I'll have to be frank, I've lost track if it's Omicron's daughter, granddaughter, sister, brother anymore. They've all come off of Omicron, the gift that keeps giving. But again, everything we have still works. All of the test kits, and I brought lots of test kits for those of you who would like to take them. I have 4,000 more coming in 3 days. So you are welcome to take test kits, and if you need any for your jurisdictions or you'd like to hand them out, please let us know. We can get them delivered. Because people need them. They're free. And if you go to a store, it's like they can cost $20, $25. But anyway, back to the COVID scene. So it's, you know, we're starting to see that come back down again for COVID. And so hopefully, you know, it's interesting though, in the last couple weeks, we have had 2 flu-related influenza deaths. And if you remember, every year in this country, we have about 36,000 people who die from influenza, so it's not unusual to see death. We've also had 9 COVID-related deaths and 17 pneumonia-related deaths. And among, you know, across all the ages, everybody sort of equally has been exposed to the respiratory viruses, but it appears to be particularly harmful for individuals 60 years of age and older. So what we're seeing there is about 92% of all death and hospitalization has occurred in individuals 60 years of age and older. So that's not so promising. I mean, that's been not. The other thing I just wanted to talk about quickly is you may have heard about measles outbreaks. We have not had those here. Each of those measles outbreaks, there's one in Georgia, there's one in Philadelphia currently. The one in Philadelphia has a significant number of contacts with it. We have had measles in Summit County, however, it was well contained because of just the family didn't go anywhere, which was really good. So we never had a lot of spread. However, I want you just to know almost, in particular in these 2 cases, those cases of measles are tied to foreign travel. So people go out of the country unvaccinated to an area of high measles, come back, and then spread it among their peers. It's very, very contagious. It is the most contagious disease that we know on this earth. So I'll stop there, but it's getting better. So if you knew a lot of people that were sick in December, you weren't crazy. There was a lot of disease, but it's starting to come back down again.
Thank you, Commissioner Scota. Any questions, members of council? Ms. Bethany, and then
Thank you,
Ms.
Madam President, and thank you for the update. How would you compare the severity of the flu to what it normally is this year?
It's been bad, and there's some theories as to why. People have been pretty sick, high fever, you know, you're contagious for about 5 days, just like COVID. But what we've seen is severity, and they're theorizing because nobody really had it for a couple years, because basically COVID killed the flu. You know, it went away, everybody had COVID, not the flu. But now that the masks are off and people are getting sick, it's been fairly severe.
If someone hasn't received the flu vaccine yet, is it still a good idea to get
Oh, yeah.
it since we're coming?
It's a good idea to get either. If you're not vaccinated, get them, because we don't know what this is going to do long term. Hopefully, you know, it's going to be a one and done thing. You get a flu shot, you get a COVID vaccine in the fall, and then you see it, you know, you don't need it again all year.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Ms. Rogers.
This is kind of related, Donna, to the pneumonia shot that the tell seniors to take. Does that have a positive effect on either of these?
No. Mm-mm. But the pneumonia shot in itself is a whole, you need a PhD to figure out which one you need. So you probably should talk to your physician about, because now they're switching them all. Everybody used to get 1, 2, there was 20, 21. Now you're supposed to get 23, but you got to talk to your physician and find out which one you had, because then you need to know which one you need to get.
Even though it's a viral thing. No effect. That's interesting. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
Donna, so last week I spent a lot of time at Cleveland Clinic downtown, and I personally wore a mask and
Yeah.
kept some hand sanitizer and, was very careful when you had to touch the buttons and stuff. But I noticed, like, I got stuck there for like all day, a couple times, and doctors, nurses, nobody's wearing masks. I personally wore a mask because I'm afraid. But I was just wondering about that. And no, they're not taking temperatures no more. It's not a big deal.
Correct. And it's because it's endemic and it's everywhere. And even if probably one person wore that mask without the other, and I don't think there's much of a palette for masking again anywhere. It is difficult. I too, when I go into a facility, wear a mask, particularly a nursing home, because you don't know what you're bringing into folks. And if I too had to visit a friend in the hospital, I wore a mask every single time. You just don't know what you're bringing into sick people. And so, I suggest that anybody who has to travel into any healthcare facility should wear a mask.
It just seems like their guard is down now. Like,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you're talking doctors and nurses.
Oh, yeah,
It's like-
because everybody, you're exposed no matter where you're at. It's everywhere.
Thank you, Ms. Darrell. Any other questions from members of
Hey,
council?
take those test kits. I got 4,000 more coming, remember?
Thank you. We have
Pardon me? Oh, anybody, take them. Call me, you can have more. Okay.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Uh-huh.
We appreciate you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, the Public Works Committee will come to order. The first resolution we have to consider this evening is 2024-007. A resolution authorizing the executive to accept the Village of Peninsula located in Council District 1 into and under the Sanitary Sewer Authority of Summit County Metropolitan Sewer District and amending Board of Commissioners Resolution Number 743-70 for the executive and declaring an emergency.
Thank you, Chair. Michael Vinay, Director of Sanitary Sewer Services for Executive Eileen Shapiro. This particular project has a long history dating back some 30 years as far as discussions between the village and Summit County regarding sanitary sewer service for the village. Those discussions have always been based on the fact that there have been elevated E. coli samplings taken from the outfall into the Cuyahoga River over the past several years. The EPA has been in discussion with the village over about the past 10 years regarding a solution for the village. The EPA has also encouraged the village to reach out to Summit County for a potential sanitary sewer solution. So we began those discussions in earnest in about 2020, right when I came on board. Over the last 4 years, we've worked with the village as far as finding a solution that is acceptable to the EPA. During that time, we've completed a preliminary engineering report that outlines what the sanitary sewer district is going to look like. I believe you have a copy of that in front of you. This project was historically unaffordable, which is why it didn't happen. Fortunately, through the ARPA funds that the county received, Executive Shapiro set aside $7.5 million specifically for this project in order to improve the environmental sustainability of the Cuyahoga River and to assist those residents in the village. So we completed the preliminary engineering report last year, provided a copy of that report to both the EPA and to the village itself. The village then posted that study, and it has been posted on their website since they were provided with the report. Additionally, we've had some meetings with some residents down in the village. There is a small pocket of concerned residents down there that have concerns about sanitary sewer within the village. I believe a lot of that's based on their concerns regarding a potential changing character within the village due to sanitary sewer coming, but obviously they have control over that through their own zoning and through their own avenues. We are there simply to provide the sanitary sewer to improve the health of the Cuyahoga River. Additionally, through those meetings, I took a group of residents on a tour of one of our wastewater treatment plants. It's going to be similar in nature to the one we're building in Peninsula. We gave them that tour as well. And we also had a public meeting with some of those concerned residents that also included Summit County Public Health and the Ohio EPA. We're at a point now where last month the Village Council unanimously approved requesting joining the Summit County Metropolitan Sewer District. Now we come before you for the county to accept them into our district. With the preliminary engineering report completed, we will now put out an RFP for detailed design of the project. Once that detailed design is done, we will then go into construction. I do have representatives from Peninsula here, Mayor Schneider and a couple other individuals. I also have representatives from the Ohio EPA here this evening, as well as Summit County Public Health. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mike. That pretty much covered it, I think. Good job. Questions from members of the committee? Aaron Dickinson.
I'm just wondering, outside of the district here, is there also sewer plants?
No, those are currently served by septic systems. The district is based on density, and the density of those properties, if you take a look at the sewer district where it's very dense, those really can't support future septic systems. So that's why when you get less dense, they're still able to support a septic system.
Gloria Rogers.
We're going to build a plant. Where will the plant be in this?
If you look at the very northeast corner of the district itself, that's where the wastewater treatment plant is going to be located. And the Village Planning Commission also voted to approve that site for the wastewater treatment plant.
You're welcome. Jeff Wilhite.
How many people will be employed down at that facility? There will be no one employed at the facility. We have 3 other wastewater treatment plants that are similar to this, and we have an operator who's on a route every day visiting all those plants. Yeah.
You're welcome. Aaron.
Would it be possible to extend this later to these, because I know there's residents on the right now.
The plant's being designed to support the district as it's set up now. Now, there is potential to design the plant to be expandable in the future. Those are discussions we'll have with the village when we get into detailed design.
And now, I can't, you say that the plant is in the northeast corner up here? Oh, north, okay. Where's the river?
Right here.
Is it along the river?
Yeah, it will
Okay. So the effluent will go to the river. Okay, thanks. Any other questions, members of the committee? Members of council? The public? Anybody want to speak in favor or against the project? I'll entertain a motion to approve. Oh, I'm sorry. Sir, you want to come on up?
Hello, I'm Mayor Schneider. I just want to take the time to thank everybody in Summit County for all the help that they've given me since I become the mayor there, starting with my road closure that I couldn't open. So I can't thank everybody in this room and everybody attached to everyone in this room for all the help that they've given the Village of Peninsula so we can be that gateway to the national park that everybody expects. Thank you.
Thanks, Mayor.
Sure.
All the businesses are happy with this process.
They've been more happy, yes. I mean, and it also will open up the fact that we can open a few more. We have vacant buildings that can't be rented because of the lack of water and sewer, and our next goal is, of course, to see if we can find a way to bring water with that, so. Oh, yeah, I think that, we have like 5 separate plants now, all on the borderline of,
And we're working on the water at the same time.
correct,
Hopefully we'll come to a conclusion. Okay.
correct. Yep, thank you all, yes.
That's my question too. The water project is still alive.
So the water,
My hometown is
yeah. So I will tell you that finding a water source for the village is problematic, right? Or, and you take a look at a village like Peninsula and everyone says, well, why doesn't it have water and sewer? Because it's hard. It would have it if it was easy. We're still in discussions exploring every avenue that's out there to try and bring water to the village. That's obviously one of our goals as well. That's, the village is on board with that. We've had plenty of discussions with neighboring water purveyors, and those talks continue.
Jeff.
Mike, this, if I remember right, this is part of the combined initiative, Peninsula, Lakemore, Springfield Township, and the EPA has signed off on.
No, we're not there yet. Not yet. So we provided this project as one of, I believe, 3 projects that are part of the City of Akron's Fourth Amendment to their consent decree. And if that amendment were to be approved, and I believe it's in front of the judge right now, if that were to be approved, the $7.5 million that was set aside for ARPA dollars for the sanitary sewer project would be shifted over to potentially the water side, and then the City of Akron would pay for the sanitary sewer side of the project.
Judge Adams? Judge Adams?
Um, Just to clarify, we are not in the water business, are we, in Summit County?
All of our discussions have been about us not getting back into the water business, but having purveyors provide the water and Peninsula eventually becoming the customers of that purveyor.
Well, we're spending a lot of money to extend sanitary sewer, and it's necessary and it's needed. But, to spend more money to get back into the water business, which we got out of in Summit County about 40 years ago, I think. I mean, is that the road you're going down?
No,
Are we getting
no.
back into the water business?
No, we would transfer, any water assets that are constructed would be transferred to whoever's providing the water.
Who would construct and pay for the assets that?
If the Fourth Amendment were approved, we would shift the ARPA money over to pay for those assets.
I'm sorry, if what?
If the Fourth Amendment for the City of Akron were to be approved, City of Akron would construct the sanitary sewer side. We would use that ARPA money to construct the water assets, and then we would transfer those assets over to the water provider.
I'm still not getting clear. So you're saying if Akron puts in the sewer that we're talking about this evening?
Yeah, if their Fourth Amendment to their consent decree is approved, that's one of the projects they would undertake.
Is extending sewer, sanitary sewer to
Peninsula, correct.
Are we jumping the gun here? I mean, shouldn't we wait until that?
No, because if it's not approved, we're going to use the ARPA funding to pay for the sanitary sewer project.
And so if it is approved, we're going to spend the money to, or the administration wants to spend the money to extend water
Correct,
to Peninsula.
correct.
If I can just add, Mr. Schmidt, the addition of Akron getting involved on the sewer side, this district would still be under sanitary sewer. So the sewer would be the county's regardless of who pays for it. And then we would just shift the instead of the county spending the 7.5 on sewer, the City of Akron would cover that 7.5. And then we'd sought our 7.5 to help on the water side to get them water in Peninsula.
Yeah, I got that. Well, the reason we're doing this mainly is because of the Cuyahoga River, and we're polluting the Cuyahoga River, is that right?
Correct.
What would be the rationale for spending $7 million to extend water to one out of the 31 different communities in Summit County?
Well, one of the issues that the village has been suffering from for many years is that they are actually trucking water into the village and filling individual cisterns to supply their waters to those individual homes and businesses.
Are there not areas throughout Summit County where the same situation exists?
I don't know of another situation in Summit County where they're trucking water in, no.
I do, Cauga Falls, Ward 8, Tice Road.
Okay, I was unaware of that, so.
Yeah, and I wonder if there aren't more. I'm just, I mean, this is a big deal. This is a lot of money to spend on one community, and so I just want to make sure that everybody's aware of that. Any other questions? Aaron first, and then Gloria.
Can you give us an idea of, now my understanding is that putting water in at the same time as sewer makes sense because you're digging up the road, so there's cost savings, right?
Correct.
So what would be the cost savings by doing it together versus two different projects?
Well, one year would be an economies of scale from just a mobilization standpoint and contracting standpoint, right? You bring a contractor out to mobilize twice, it's going to be more expensive. And not only that, you can coordinate all the utilities and locations and everything in the base mapping all at the same time as well, which would be a considerable, increase your efficiency and then also be a considerable cost savings.
Go ahead, Gloria. Gloria.
The EPA has a finding against Peninsula, as I understand.
They do not have a finding against Peninsula as of today. Now, they have been in discussions with the village over the past several years about finding a solution. To my knowledge, the EPA has utilized their own discretion as of now to not issue orders and work with both the county and the village to find a solution.
But this is cleaning up the Coahoma River,
Correct.
and this is a big deal.
Yeah.
That's sanitary sewer, Gloria. The water has nothing to do with cleaning up the Cauga River.
No, water doesn't, but what's coming into the river is an issue.
That's sanitary sewer. But be that as it may, this system, the sanitary sewer system in Peninsula is self-contained. Water would come from Hudson or Akron.
Yes.
So it would be, we don't have any infrastructure there now.
Correct.
It would have to be put in. And so I suppose when they're digging the trench for a sanitary sewer, they could put the water lines in at the same time?
Well, the contractor had to be located. There's some environmental regulations about, the distance from a water line to a sewer line, but that would all be coordinated and worked out in detailed design.
Well, that's what, 10,
Yeah,
10
yeah, 10
15
feet,
feet or something?
10 feet.
Something like
Yeah.
that. Okay, so that would make sense to do that at the same
Yeah.
time, is what you're saying?
Yes.
All right, even though you might at some point in the future, or would you do it all at the same time? Hook up to the Hudson or Cleveland, get the water from Cleveland or Hudson or Akron? It's got, where's the closest spigot, so to speak?
The closest provider is City of Hudson. They're located right up at a campground right up 303.
The Boy Scout camp.
Yep.
And my understanding is when they put that line in, and maybe some of these folks from Peninsula would know this, when they put that line in going to the Boy Scout camp, they offered to put in a bigger line for just this situation, and Peninsula turned it down because they were afraid, I don't know what they're afraid of. But, so here we are, spending more money to do something that should have been done years and years ago. But it is what it is. Any other questions from members of council or committee? Yes, Aaron?
Well, it'd be nice if we could avoid doing that again, if we can get these lines in at the same time, right? So that down the road.
I suppose it sets a precedent. Are we going to start, we getting back into the water business? That's my question. Are we?
We are not going to be in the water business because I can assure you I don't want to be in the water business. The only other thing I would mention is, again, these are all ongoing discussions with these potential water providers. At some point, if those discussions don't come to fruition with something beneficial, we have to move on and we have to put the sewer in. Every day that we're polluting the river's not good.
I agree with that. Yeah, Aaron.
I'm sorry. Is there any impact on the river from the cisterns, or are they pretty self-contained?
Those are pretty self-contained.
Okay.
Yeah.
But from a public health standpoint, the health of the people living there, is it better to have municipal water?
Yeah, I think the cost of trucking water in every day and the availability of water, and, there was a story in the paper earlier this year that some of you may have saw where the village's water truck was stolen, and they had to line up backup haulers to bring water in, and they were very close to having businesses shut down that day. So obviously, the convenience of a municipal water source would be extremely beneficial.
And Donna can verify this, the state has made stringent guidelines for septic systems and how they're to function, they're inspected every year, so they're secure.
About that. But Gloria, we're talking about water versus sanitary sewer. I'm not hearing any opposition.
About septic.
Well, I'm not hearing any.
My question was about water, actually, because my understanding was that sanitary sewer is certainly better from a health perspective than septic systems, right?
All right.
So
Any
just
other
a point
questions?
of clarity, Mr.
Pardon?
Chairman. So
Right.
what is the total amount earmarked in ARPA dollars? Is it 6 million, 7 million, 13 million?
Right now, the executive has $7.5 million allotted for this project.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other questions from members of council? The public? Aaron, you want to move on that? Oh, John, did you move on? John moved on. John Donofrio moved on. 2024-007. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thanks, John. Thank you, Mike. 2024-008, a resolution authorizing the executive to advertise for bids as needed for subdivision stormwater facilities repair projects for the Summit County Assessed Subdivision Program, Drainage Districts 1 and 2, and an estimated cost not to exceed $1 million for the engineer declaring emergency. Hi, Heidi.
Thank you. Heidi Swindell, Summit County Engineers Office. We do annual authorization to advertise legislation because we have such a giant capital program all the time. We'd be here every week if we didn't do them all at once. So this one is for our assessed subdivisions. These are people who pay an assessed subdivision fee on their property taxes, and that gets dumped into an account. You're either in District 1 or District 2. We just keep them in two different pots. We have identified some assessed subdivision stormwater facilities that need some work. So we're going to go out to bid with 2 contracts, one for District 1 and one for District 2. I believe in our LSS we had broken out which subdivisions were going to get the work. All of the construction contracts will come back before council after they're bid out for your approval. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from members of the committee, members of council, public? Jeff, you want to move on that? Jeff moved on 2024-008. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Carries. 2024-009, a resolution authorizing the executive to advertise for bids as needed for bridge engineering and construction projects, pavement, maintenance projects for the engineers 2024 capital improvements program, and an estimated cost not to exceed $10,720,000 for the engineer and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. Also an authorization to advertise piece of legislation. This is for our road and bridge construction projects. And the big ones we have this year are the Ira Road Bridge in Bath, Medina Line, Minor Road Bridge in Copley, the Steeles Corners rehabilitation got pushed back. We had to reject the bids we got last year, so it's coming into 2024. We're seeing if we can get a little bit better price on that. We do have $1 million coming in from the state for that one. So we just really want to, and it's 100%. So we're trying to keep it at that $1 million so we don't have to spend any local. And the Vanderhoof Road Bridge, and then the rest of it is all kind of our regional pavement maintenance program, the hot mix resurfacing, and that kind of work. So I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thanks, Heidi. Could you, and I don't expect you to have the answer for this evening, but could you check on the status of the North Main Street State Road Bridge, the high-level bridge? Like, you know, when that, I know that's scheduled at some point in the future to be replaced.
Oh, yes, it is. We are hopeful. You're talking about our high-level bridge, right? Not Route 8's?
No.
Okay,
not
okay.
High level on State Road, North Main Street.
Yep, North Main Street. I do have the answer for that, actually, because I talk about it all the time. And we just met with the local major bridge program. It's an ODOT program. And we are very hopeful that we're going to get about $5 million out of that for the beginning of the design for this. It's going to cost about $9 million to design it and $60 million for actual construction. We're pretty set on where we want to put the new bridge, how we want to proceed with construction. We've got all that figured out so it never has to be closed. We're going to do, like with the Route 8 bridge, they'll build one lane, move all the traffic over there, and then build the other bridge next to it. So hopefully 5 years from now, and that's a really expedited design schedule, but 5 years from now we can be under construction if we get this design money in.
That'd be good. Is there anything we can do to help get the design money, a resolution urging the...
Well, you...
State rep, are there any state reps that we can...
Heidi, if I can just add,
Veronica's not paying attention. Are there any state reps we can help, that'll help get us money in Columbus, something like that?
John, if I could just add, Congresswoman Sykes sits on the Transportation Committee. I know this is on her radar.
Is this
Yes.
a federal thing? Or?
We're looking for
We're
federal
looking
dollars.
for federal money.
In addition to what you're talking
Yes.
about.
Correct.
So
Sherrod
we-
Brown has got it on his radar as well for
Oh, yes.
capital projects.
Sherrod Brown actually talked about it. He did a webinar about getting federal money, and it was the first project he talked about when he came out with Executive Shapiro and Mr. Brubaker, and they walked around the bridge. He learned all about it.
On State Road?
Yep.
That's nice.
Yeah,
I'd like
that's
to have known
great. So,
about that.
So, Mr. Chairman, just very quick, I So which bridge did we get infrastructure dollars for?
We got a lot of our smaller bridges that we already had programmed. You know, we would have 80% funding for them, and then all of a sudden we got, you know, they came back through and gave us 100% funding for them.
Okay, okay.
So we had like 6 or 7 of
This one was
those.
on the radar too, but I guess.
It is, so Representative Sykes also had it in the latest House Appropriations bill. It made it to the final version. There's also $5 million in design money in there. But then, of course, that bill completely stalled. So we figure we're probably not going to count on that money, and that's why we asked the state.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome. Aaron?
Remind us how old that bridge is?
1948, so close. Yeah, it's reaching the end of its useful life. We're right there. It is still rated a 5, which is fair, right? But we don't want it to get to a 4. It's out of a rating of 9. So it's,
So if it gets to a 4, it's step on it.
no, it'll still be good. We'll have to load rate it. And we're restricting semis on it, then, you know, it's a huge economic driver. We just cannot let it be a 4.
It's, Aaron, it's a single point of failure bridge. They don't make bridges like this anymore because there are safer ways to do it now.
Years ago.
You might say. I'm not saying don't go over it, but I think you'd be okay, because you inspect it every year, the engineer?
Yes. We bring out the snooper trucks and they climb all over it every other year. And then yearly, they do a regular inspection and then the in-depth one every other year.
Good. And what about, would you happen to know anything about the bridge that goes over the Cauga River over Route 91 in Monroe Falls?
No.
Well, could you check on that, please? Because the mayor happens to be sitting here, and he's thinking, boy, I sure would like to get that bridge. That's an old one, too. We've actually discussed that, Mayor Mavrides and I, about the bridge going over the Cauga River in Monroe Falls. So if you check on that one, too.
Is that a culvert, Mayor? Like a big culvert? Really? Wasn't there some tension between Stowe and Monroe Falls or something about it?
No, it's in Monroe
Is
Falls.
it? I'm just making sure I'm not about to walk into anything.
No, there is, but it's not about the bridge.
Okay.
So, all right, well, if you could check on that one, too.
Yeah.
Maybe call the mayor and ask him.
Yeah, he's
for
got my number.
Specifics. All right, sounds good. Any other questions from members of the committee? Members of council? The public? I'll entertain a motion to bring that up. Gloria, you want to move on that? Gloria moved on 2024-009. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries 2024-010. A resolution authorizing the executive to advertise for bids as needed for stormwater improvement projects for the Summit County Surface Water Management District's 2024 capital improvements program at an estimated cost not to exceed $15,055,800 for the engineer and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. Last advertising legislation. This is for the Surface Water Management District. And speaking of ARPA dollars, Executive Shapiro did earmark ARPA dollars for these surface water management districts in order to get the countywide program going. We are definitely making progress on our studies. We've let about, 6 contracts so far. We're going to need to do additional work on those ones and obviously do the rest of these on this list, which I hope you have. If you don't, I'm happy to provide it. And we are hoping to get projects under construction by the end of this year.
Questions from members of the committee? Members of council? The public? And Phil, they'll come back for individual projects that are...
Oh, yes, absolutely, yep.
All right. All in favor? Who wants to move on this one? John Donofrio, you want to move on that? John moved on 2024-010. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion
Yeah,
carries.
thank you.
Any other business come before the Public Works Committee? And we're adjourned.
Planning and Economic Development will begin at 5:06. Our first piece tonight is 2024-011, a resolution to authorize the executive to submit construction permit applications to the Ohio Turnpike and Infrastructure Commission and to assume responsibility for the costs and any liabilities arising from such construction on Turnpike property located in the city of Hudson, Village of Boston Heights, Boston Township, and Richfield Township in Council Districts 1 and 3 for the executive and declaring an emergency. Holly Miller.
Holly Miller, Department of Community and Economic Development. This legislation would allow us to apply for and obtain for the permit crossings for the railroads, ODOT, and the Turnpike for the Fiber Ring project. Due to the long lead time for these permits, we want to get the application process started now. So once the design is completed and it's out to bid, it's not the permits that are holding us up. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from members of the committee or from council? I have a motion from Councilwoman Hyam on 2024-011. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you, Holly. 2024-016, a resolution authorizing the executive, subject to the approval of the Board of Control, to execute a professional service agreement with the Greater Akron Chamber to provide economic development services, including but not limited to business attraction and retention, workforce growth, economic inclusion, and facilitation of economic development ecosystem initiatives for a one-year term from January 1st, 2024 through December 31st, 2024, in a total amount not to exceed $80,000 for the executive and declaring an emergency. And
I was going to say, good afternoon, everybody. Diane Miller-Dawson, Executive's Office of Community and Economic Development. This is an agreement we've had with GAC for many years. Steve Millard, President and CEO of the Chamber, is here to talk about our cooperation.
thank you.
Thank you, Diane. Thank you to the members of council for having us here tonight. First of all, I just want to say thank you for what I think has been 5 years of really good relationship between the county, the chamber, and other economic development partners for the work that we've been doing together. We really have a remarkable relationship that is unique among other community chambers and their county and city governments. There's a real collaboration, almost a coming together in a way that doesn't exist in other places. And part of the role of the Greater Akron Chamber in that is to kind of facilitate the connection, the staffing, a lot of the support of the work that we do together. So that work ranges from everything from our joint BRE program, where we did almost 300 calls last year with city, county, chamber, many other partners, where we come together and talk to our key companies about issues, including last year about 100 minority and women-owned businesses in that process. Work that we do together, and they are doing together on driving our polymer industry. You may have seen some of the coverage on the work that we're doing in polymers. We really are at the precipice of some really big opportunities for not only the region, but really the state in this area of polymer development. We have a legacy asset here that we're working together every day to build on. We're doing work together in the area of economic inclusion around trying to sort of figure out how we help our companies have more diverse supplier bases, and how we help our minority businesses connect more with those companies. And so that really covers both public and private entities. We're doing work together through Connexus Neo and Workforce, trying to sort of ensure that our employers are getting together to decide what's next for them, and the Chamber, again, plays a convening role in that space. So all these things are things that we're doing and can only do with the support of the county, the city, and other partners in that work. We're proud to do it with you, and we're really happy to be able to support that work to drive growth and investment in the region. So I'm happy to take questions on any of the work that we're doing there, but again, just want to say thank you for the support that we've seen and the work that we've been able to do together.
Great, thank you. I'll start off with a couple questions. I think some members do too. One of the questions I have is about the amount. It actually seems relatively small for all the things you just listed off and all the items on this agenda.
Yep.
So I'm curious if this is more in line with the contribution to support ongoing work, or if this is a specific contract with deliverables and we have a designated staff member working on this. What is the setup of this?
Yeah, so we look at this as sort of general support for our work, so akin to the way in which we're sort of raising investments from other folks in the community. We have about 2,200 members, about 200 or so of those are what we call investor members. You're one of those. And so we don't sort of contract it out individually. There are times where we come back to you for individual kind of assignments, for example, support for broader polymer work, et cetera. But this is more general support and visibility and recognition of the county as a part of our efforts.
But as you've noticed, they do a lot of work for that $80,000. And they've been a great partner.
Okay.
And this is an increase over prior years. It's probably still not reflective of what all the work that goes into this, but I think the prior contract was 45.
40,000, yeah.
40,000, and now it's 80. So in recognition of all that effort, we're
Yeah.
working with them to,
I'm curious if this was a decision on our, like intentional decision on our end to call it a professional services agreement versus a grant.
I honestly don't know what drove.
When I first got here, we did not have a relationship with the county that was providing support, and so I think the guidance at that point was to have it be a professional services agreement. I'm not sure how to distinguish that in the way you support, but we can do it anyway.
It's helpful to know the background.
Yep.
Any other questions from Mr. Wilhite?
Steve, recently there was the announcement for this big competition to get some dollars.
Yes.
Could you give us an update on where you guys are? How can we help?
Sure. There are a couple levels of this. So first, we were able to secure in the state budget, the biennial budget, $125 million for innovation hubs across the state in places other than Cleveland, Columbus, and Cincinnati. And so we advocated for that broadly, which has allowed some of our colleagues also compete for resources. We have submitted an application last week for $35 million from the state to go up against $12 million in matching funds from private companies and other sort of supporters. That application we hope to hear from soon. That then plays into our goal in this Tech Hubs competition nationally. So in the fall, we learned that of 400 applicants across the country, we were one of 31 places in the country to be designated a federal tech hub. That entitles us then to compete for $500 million from the CHIPS Act. We were designated the Sustainable Polymer Tech Hub, so that we're the only one in the country in that space, and the only hub in Ohio. So we'll submit our application at the end of February for that. We hope to be able to bring about $75 million back. We're one of 31 that can compete for that, and it's a really big deal. We've already seen inquiries from all over the country and the world from other companies who want to be connected to the work that we're trying to do here. So.
And we'll be coming back to council pretty soon. We've made a commitment to that project that Steve just mentioned. So once we see where we are in the process, we'll be coming back to council to support that effort with dollars on behalf of the administration.
If I could ask, promote the hell out of that.
We will, yes.
People are so tired of hearing this is going, that's going, this change, that change.
Yeah.
This is significant. This community has spent, and the University of Akron has spent a lot of human and financial resources in building the polymer industry, and this is going to be the payoff for that in a very real way. So I think it's incumbent on everybody in this community to get behind this and support it. I don't care if it's Mrs. Jones on First Street writing a letter of support, right on up to whoever corporate-wise, because to have been selected as one of only 31 in the country, if that doesn't get you excited, check your pulse for dead. But the fact of the matter is, to be who we are in that space is a great story, and everybody needs to feel good about that and understand that that's going to be a very big part of our economic future. So I can speak for myself personally. Anything I can do to help, happy to do it, but I think collectively we all should get behind that and make that work.
I appreciate that. We've got our annual meeting this year on March 14th will be all about polymers. We're trying to spread the information. We've learned that a lot of people don't know what a polymer is, and so we've got to get that out there and communicate it more broadly. But we've also got, just again from this result of this work, 30 companies coming in June from across the world to Akron in advance of an event in D.C. to see Akron as a place to make foreign investment for their companies. So again, lots of great things ahead here, and we appreciate your support.
Ms. McKinney?
I'd like to be a sponsor on this, please, and I'm happy to move if we're done with questions.
Does everybody want to co-sponsor? Council as a whole? Okay, great. Question,
you all.
Ms. Sims. Sorry, Ms. Sims and you.
So I'm very appreciative of the partnership that we had. I see we have a friend back
Yes,
over
I do. I failed to introduce both Greg Kramer, who leads our economic development work, and Ebony Porter, who leads our opportunity and inclusion work.
So thank you. So my hope was the additional resources, and I'm glad you did get additional resources that would support the work, is around the data collection and still needing more that I think is so important that we're pinpointing in history, particularly where African American businesses are today, and the plan for where we want to help facilitate and take them next steps. So is that part of the use for the resources?
Yeah, broadly in our work on supply diversity procurement, we've been working with the Procurement Council of about 16 organizations, including the county and a number of private entities. Our first step has been to look into all of their supplier systems to see who are the companies you're doing business with, minority, women-owned, small business, et cetera, to try to compile who are 20 or 30 that we could really get our shoulder behind The difficulty is that the systems are fairly disorganized across all these folks, and getting data on the companies at detail level is hard. So one of the things that keeps Ebony awake at night is figuring out how we put this data together in a way that can be really useful. So we're making progress there, and some of these resources will go to support her work and the work that we're doing broadly there.
So how can we help with that? I mean, I love polymer too, and I'm so glad
Yep.
that we're doing that, but it's so easy to lose, this very important work in the sauce if we're not careful.
I'd say identifying businesses in your communities that are minority-owned or women-owned that are provided, especially in the traded sector space, meaning companies that are selling products and services to folks beyond just local purchasers. Those are the companies that can best do business with our companies in the community, and identifying those companies and bringing them above the radar would be very helpful to us.
So are there any particular tools that people are using across the country that we could be using here that may require some additional resources to help support that work?
Yeah, I think we're constantly looking at new ways to do this, but I think there's a lot of grassroots work that has to be done here, just to identify the companies and bring them forward. So, and I think Diane and her team and others have really helped us try to identify those folks. But there's no magic silver bullet to this. We're constantly talking to our colleagues about it. It's just getting out there, letting folks know opportunity exists, and helping them know that it's real. I think folks can get cynical in this space because, there's been lots of initiatives that have not had success. But how do we get folks to just sort of identify themselves so we know how to profile them for our companies?
And if I could just add, we have from the executive's office, we have two different approaches that we're taking. So we're collaborating with Steve and Ebony in the chamber and being part of that group that's working, and it's the hospitals and all of the different corporate partners too that do have those spends. But we're also internally, we've convened a team that Holly and I sit on with some other folks where we're meeting with all of the different purchasing agents within the county to say, here we want to create a list, and then we're rolling it over to the efforts of the chamber for all of the people across the county that do individual purchases, or they go out and they go request quotes or solicit bids from the different vendors, because we only know if a vendor gets the award. We don't know the vendors that have been asked. So with the implementation of our new financial system, we have the ability through vendor self-service for vendors to identify if they're minority or women or LGBT or any other sort of disadvantaged business group. So we're collecting that data with our new system. And we have some folks going out helping through the BRE project and Diane's group actually doing outreach to the vendors to get them to self-identify, so that way we can run reports, and then working on what does that look like in terms of the bidder space and what we load into Munis, so who goes out. But we're doing that outreach effort with the vendors to get them to identify, find out what services they can provide once we've identified them as a minority business. So we are taking a lot of initiatives. We have been working on it for like the last 6 months, a really intentional effort of gathering that data, and we're all working collectively to try to make sure that we're upping that presence of the minority businesses across the county.
And so, Steve, the initiative you just mentioned, and then Phil kind of referencing the work you're doing, is this a post-MCAP funnel where people get dumped into, where you help them increase their access to new revenue streams or new contracts, or are you surfacing businesses that could benefit from going through MCAP through this work, or maybe it's both?
It's both.
Okay.
It's both.
Yeah, go ahead.
So Phil, with that, as far as encouraging businesses to identify, is the county's system the best way to do that, even if they don't necessarily know that there's a county service that they can provide, but to know that they're available and out there?
Yeah,
or is there a better place for them to go?
So if they go to the county's website and under the executive section, there's a purchasing under my group that has all of the vendor self-service information. So if you are a vendor anywhere, but I mean, obviously we're starting with Summit County vendors, you can go in and self-register, create an account. That'll put you in the system to be able to be notified of when bids go out or when different contracts go out. So you can go in, anybody, even if you don't do business with the county right now, and sign up for that and then pick the different commodities you provide. The other part of the outreach, so in terms of the MCAP program and building capacity for construction contractors that are in the minority space on that, what we're doing on our side is any supplier that might be minority or female owned. One of the questions, we have the ability to freeform some of the questions. We want to know if you maybe you're not a minority owned business, but 70% of your customers are, or your board's makeup is more diverse than just the one person. So we're trying to ask more layered questions to make sure that we're increasing not only our the ability to build capacity with contractors and vendors, but also that we're sharing the wealth in terms of where we're spending money, not just in the construction space. So where we're buying our office supplies and our cleaning supplies and those kind of things.
But as I said, Christine, another way is to just have them reach out to our office.
So how are we working to get that information out about how people can come to the website and put in information? It just seems to me, just the great work that we did with the CARES dollars and the ARPA dollars supporting small business, particularly Black and brown businesses, that there was a lot of data there for us to grab. I just still don't know exactly what that data is. If
But
that's
a lot of those businesses were like solopreneurs or entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
I mean, we still go out and do BREs with those businesses. But again, we're not collecting all of the data that you would like to see. And we're still working on it.
Well, and the other thing that this group that we're working on, so we worked with Brian Anderson at the Chamber to get the listing of all the small businesses we gave grants to, and we're doing outreach to them to get them to tell us whether they fit into one of those DBE categories, and then updating our system. It's the good old-fashioned door knocking, what we're doing with BRE. We're getting any list that's available to us for these businesses that we've provided grants to or worked with collaboratively, and we have Pastor Nelson is helping in those efforts, and we have LaToya Harris in the executive's office that's working on those efforts. So we're actually just doing phone calls and door knocking and showing up to businesses to try to get that information.
We have John Robinson
and Johnny.
and Sherry Shields doing the same thing.
Ms. Rogers?
When we talk about polymers, we think of the University of Akron. And I'm sure they're at the table. How important is it in obtaining this grant or this, are there many other people trying to obtain money who actually have an educational, a well-known educational community being part of it?
Yeah, this is sort of like the World Series of getting money from the federal government. So every community that's competing is going to have partners, business partners, private sector partners, public partners, educational institutions, research institutions. So it's a really interesting, this application for Tech Hubs has to include labor. It's got to include other partners as well. So it's a very broad coalition of organizations around a tight focus. We have 8 projects we're going to be sort of putting forward there. So everybody's got their version of a UA in their solution. Ours happens to be the best in the world, so that's going to be helpful to us. But we've got a lot of other partners that are involved in trying to win this for the region.
Yeah, I just thought the University of Akron starting this years ago would be significant.
Yeah, they're an amazing partner on this.
Yeah, I'm not to ride a dead horse. I just wanted to get up and ride. Really, it just seems you are the natural partner if we're going to lift this targeted community. Maybe there's an issue. Maybe there's a better way to report out so that we. Part of the challenge is historical lack of access, and just by osmosis that these companies are going to know now the door is open, you can get in, is not really a real thing. You know what I mean? So how we're collecting the data, how we are being intentional about keeping that in front of us. The only reason why we really know how really bad it was is because we had COVID. I don't think we shouldn't have to go back to there and start all over from scratch, collecting data, moving these businesses forward, and still creating these spaces like MCAP to build capacity. Those are good, but it just seems like we need a stronger mechanism for collecting the data, disseminating information so that they do stay in the mix.
So I want you to know we do hear what you say.
Yeah.
We're trying to improve.
Yeah, this is not an indictment. This is just an illumination to keep our eyes on the prize. So it's not ever an indictment, but I'm always, at least for a few more weeks at least, while I'm in this chair. And you'll probably hear from me when I'm in another chair, too, because this is important work. I think the whole idea is to create accessible opportunities to every citizen that lives in Summit County, particularly our small businesses, particularly in those marginalized and underserved communities where we know this is the heartbeat of those communities.
And we'll share with council, we have a vendor landing page that we're putting together and some other collateral. Those are all coming together and being finalized now. As soon as that's done, we will get all that information out to council so it can be shared.
Thank you, Phil.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, President Sims. Any other questions? All right, so council as a whole on this piece. And I have a motion from Ms. McKinney on 2024-016. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you, Diane and Steve. And planning and economic development will close at 5:26.
At 5:26, I'll open the Public Safety Committee. First item is 2023-376, a resolution confirming the award by the Board of Control of a renewal, first of 4, of a marketing agreement with Alliance Media as a best practical source for the Veteran Service Commission 2024 advertising campaign for a one-year term from 2/15/24 through 2/14/25 in an amount not to exceed $100,000 for the Veteran Service Commission and declaring an emergency.
Good evening, Council. My name is Larry Moore, the Veteran Service Commission. Give you a little history. I'm past state president of the Ohio State Association of Veteran Service Commissioners. We have for years tried to figure out ways to market and get the word out about who we are in the 88 counties. We've been looked at as one of the best kept secrets there are in Ohio. So we're searching constantly. We've, over the last decade, the Summit County Veteran Service Commission has used Highland PR company. We've used White Space Creative. White Space went out of business in 2019. We use Pinnacle right now, which is a local-based. And the reason we're going to Alliance, we had Alliance come down in 2022, November, come down to the Columbus Ohio State Association of Veteran Service Commissioners and present their marketing plan. Unfortunately, the local public relations outfits never knew or never could understand how to market us because we're kind of a different kind of animal out there. What Alliance has done is they've targeted that. They've in Michigan, Wisconsin, and here now in Ohio, tailored a program of marketing that suits us. We as a whole, the association, liked what they had to provide and what they offered, so we've gone into this contract with them. Trying to get back and trying to get that marketing out there. This goes into, we're quarterly, got this arranged, we're doing TV, we're doing radio, we're doing local radio stations, hopefully to get our name out there and get more people in, obviously. Right now, there's 14 other counties that are in with Alliance as far as contracting. We have 2 more coming on board here in 2024, which is Logan County and Portage County. Again, we're kind of looking at this and seeing what they can do for us. The contract, basically, if we feel like it's not going the way we should, then either party can break that contract and move away from it. But again, it's 2024, technology, marketing, media. We're addressing all that, whether it's social media, whether it's Twitter, Facebook, websites, commercials on, basically we'll do the news and give you an idea. For the first quarter, basically in this first quarter's campaign to date, it's a 4-prong media campaign. Basically we'll be doing radio, the news every morning, Monday through Friday. Local morning news sponsorship. We'll be sponsoring NCAA basketball games, Ohio State, NCAA March Madness. Trying to get that out there. Local TV, WQMX. We'll run the national anthem sponsorship every morning when they do that, and then also we have a 30-second commercial. So it's just trying to get our word out there and get to the folks. Right now, we have 30,454 veterans in Summit County, that is not reflective also of all the widows we take care of, which is probably another 10,000, obviously. Give you an idea, in 2019, I track for a decade now, when they come in the office as new clients to see, how did you hear about us? Where did you hear about us? In 2019, we had 855 new clients come in the office. In 2020, when COVID hit, it's 390. That's how bad that hurt us. So we're struggling now. We should average around over 700. So we saw 584 in 2021. We saw 700 in 2022, and in 23, we've seen about 785. So again, it's that struggle to get that word out there. We brought in, with the claims we file on behalf of those veterans and their dependents, in 2022, it would have been 41 million in Fed dollars coming into Summit County. Obviously, if this works for us, and we can even draw more of those folks in and assist and help our veterans in Summit County and their families and their dependents and their widows, that's what we're shooting for, and that's our goal. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Questions from the committee? Mr. Schmidt?
Hi, Larry, how are you?
Good.
Good. Now, this was, you didn't put out an RFP for this. This was a single source?
Yes.
Contract. Why is that?
There's nobody else was around that's doing the marketing exactly the way they are, targeting. They've come up with a program that's tailored for veteran service commissions in the 88 counties. No one else does that or knows how to do
Do
that.
they have a website?
Yeah, they do.
Alliance?
Alliance.
And where are they from?
There you have an office in Michigan and one in Florida, in Miami. Some people, I got confused. There's an outfit, and they have the same website number,
Yeah,
name.
I'm one of the people that got it.
Yeah, well, has nothing to do with
No, I
that, obviously. So you're aware of that.
I'm just wondering if any local company might do the same thing.
No, we've tried 3 of them now, and they just don't have the capacity, and they don't know how to tailor to what our marketing for veterans is and dependents. That's why these folks came down. They're operating in Michigan and Wisconsin, and they came down to our state association in Columbus to present this to all 88 counties.
Okay, you've used them once last year. This is a
We
renewal.
started in March of 2023. We're coming around now into the 24-25 contract.
Okay, so this is the second. So you've already used them for 1 year?
Yes, sir.
And how did they perform? You say you liked what they did, so that's why you're renewing.
Yeah, we did so far.
Do you have any kind of a record of exactly how many TV commercials ran? When somebody does a political campaign, for example, when you pay $100,000 to Cleveland TV for commercials, they give you a list of when it ran, boom,
Yep.
boom, boom. Can we get a list like that?
Sure.
A list of everything that they have done?
Yes.
Maybe for last year.
Yeah, we can do that. That's not a problem. No, they give us a contract. It's like, I can show you like this 24, like what I'm looking at right here. It breaks all that down, which is what you're asking.
How many billboards, how many, and you say there's, what, 30,000 veterans in Summit County?
30,454,
And 10,000 widows.
probably,
So-
just guesstimating.
Do you know who those veterans are?
Oh, yeah.
You do, you can identify them. You have their address,
Yep.
et cetera. I mean, here, there's 2 of them sitting right here, John.
Oh, I know.
And myself. Yeah, we're both CVs, so
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep,
So
sir.
how about just doing a mailer? How about just mailing a couple times a year? That would,
We-
you could do a nice mailer for,
Oh, we do mailers. We also do mailers. We do a newsletter. I mean, there's everything under the sun in 25. Probably not you. I don't know. I tell you how we did it one year, and through the Bureau of Motor Vehicles, we got a list of everybody. And we sent out umpteen mailers, and the problem is the addresses come back undeliverable for a lot of folks. We tried it a couple of years, and that didn't work out. I did get kind of scared, though, when I saw there was 10 unlicensed drivers at 100 years old in Summit County. That kind of scared me, just a tad, that were veterans.
well, that's a good thing. All right. I guess it would be nice if it was a local company, is all I'm saying.
Oh, I understand.
So.
And we've tried those over a decade, and it just hasn't, we've gotten no positive results from them.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Aaron.
Yes,
I just want to thank you for the work you do for veterans day in and day out and your teams. Thank you for that. And in terms, since this company specializes in advertising to veterans, are they able to target in their advertising?
Yes.
For instance, on social media and such?
Social media, when you see our billboards, when you see some of the commercials, yeah, it's targeting. That's exactly what it's doing. It's custom tailored for vets, their dependents, to try to draw them in and provide that interest. I mean, here,
That's smart, rather than just a...
yeah, it's just like, on Metro buses, on the back of them, if you ever watch, we have signage back there to let them know. If you go in some of the grocery stores, we even have signage on the carts. So they see us. I mean, it's just a constant trying to figure out what works and what doesn't. I mean, I will tell you right now, word of mouth is still the best, and it always has been. I mean, it's just, you can't get around that.
And you said that you take a survey to see where people have heard from you, like what have you seen that has been effective?
Yes. Yeah, I break it down. Basically, what it does is I say, social media, word of mouth from the VA clinic here in Summit County, the billboards, news media. So that's what I'm asking. Where did you, because that's how you figure out where you spend your bucks or not, what's been the best results. So I started that in 2010, and I've kept every year, I've kept a database on that so I can look back and see what's working and what's not. It's a struggle, and it's not only for us, it's the other 87 counties as well. When we have our state conferences, that's always a discussion is how do we get our word out there and let these veterans know that we're there for them. On another subject, just kind of off of that, which is a concern, and Summit County, as long as the state of Ohio needs to know, there's House Resolution 1139 that's in Congress right now. It needs to be moving. It's in the House Veterans Affairs Committee and the Senate Veterans Committee. It's called the GUARD Act, which is guard against unaccredited representatives developing claims for these guys. We have all these, we call them claim sharks. They're not accredited by the VA. We have attorneys that are accredited by the VA, the Veteran Service Commissions, we're all accredited. We do these things for free. The accredited attorneys have a limitation on what they can charge. These outfits, claim sharks, to give you an idea, they're getting these veterans to sign contracts. I mean, for huge amounts of money. A lot of times when we'll do, like I say, on average, you get a 6-month, say a 6-month it takes the claim to be developed and approved by the VA. Well, that date of claim goes back 6 months, so they get a retro check for whatever they approve them. Let's say it's 100%. Okay, that means a married veteran is going to get $3,800 a month because of his marriage. We had one of the veterans' families come in because one of these outfits, and there's about 10 organizations we've identified that are working throughout the United States, and then here in Summit County we have what we call Patriots Angels, which has approached their father in an assisted care facility, got him to sign a contract because they promised him that they could get it quicker than we could, as far as that, which is a big lie. They lie constantly to these folks. So he signed a contract. There's nothing I can do about that now, unfortunately. So they're going to get, if he gets 100%, they're going to get 30% of his retro check. So you take $3,000 times 10 months or 6 months, and then they get 30% of the first 6 months compensation checks he gets. That's what the GUARD Act again. When COVID struck, they had penalties for these folks and fines for them, serious fines for unaccredited and doing these kind of things. That needs to be reinstated, and that's what the GUARD Act legislation is. Given how serious it is, a coalition of 44 state attorneys, including State Attorney Husted from Ohio, and coalition have sent in December of this last year, sent a letter to Congress and the congressional leaders asking them to support and push that bill. What we're also, and I can tell you that both of our senators are co-sponsors of that's House. We were also looking for down at the Ohio General Assembly to get somebody to push a resolution for the Ohio General Assembly to also write a resolution that's in support of the GUARD Act to basically rein in these unscrupulous individuals.
Would it be helpful for our council to do a similar resolution?
Certainly.
Because anything we can do to prevent, this
Yeah,
fraud from preying
yeah,
on our
you're
veterans,
preying on
I
our
wanna be a
veterans
part
and
of
their
it.
family, and it's a shame, especially if you've seen the Lejeune tainted mill water. That thing, they've spent $1 billion on advertisement, these law firms, trying to pull these people in for their benefits. In fact, the reason you're seeing the commercials more is the federal government allowed them in 2020, August 10th, 2022, to basically file a lawsuit against the federal government, which unless they allow you, but that window of opportunity shuts August 10th, 2024. So they only got about 8 months. So they're really pushing because you're talking a ton of money to these claims outfits can get, and they're going after it, seriously going after it.
So we would be happy to, I think, I mean, I'm speaking for myself, anybody else that would want to join to work on, you know, anything that we can do to help.
Yeah, because in fact, I'll be in Washington March 5th, 3rd, 4th, and 5th, and that's what I'll be there is basically advocating for veterans. I'm a member of the VFW's National Legislative Committee, and we go twice a year, September and March, and if you had something like that, I'd take that with me because I'll see all 15 House representatives and both senators. So the more the merrier, the more support we can get of that, the better, because we need them to get them to. They've been sitting on this thing for a little bit, and they need to push it through and get it passed.
I'm sure I could reach out to Larry and get some more information on how to get something like that going for us.
Thank you.
Going back to the marketing piece
Yes.
of this, as far as part of the program, I think sometimes veterans don't know what services they can get. So is there a targeted campaign to identify what services veterans have access to?
Yes.
Because just having a VSC sign on the back of a bus doesn't really tell me how that.
No, then that's what the commercials do in the radio announcements. They go into more particulars. Like we've got, for Reliance, they're broke down into 4 quarters. Every quarter, they're targeting something else. You know, we might target the financial aid one time, then it might be burials. It might be like, for instance, with the, since we passed what we call the PAC Act, hazardous toxic materials that are exposure from Vietnam veterans to Iraq veterans to Afghan veterans, has a whole list of presumptive illnesses that are associated with that. Basically, our job is to get that out there and let them know that if they've been deployed in any one of these countries and they have this illness, by all means, come and see us and we'll file a claim for them, because basically if they have the diagnosis and they have that illness, it's basically they're going to get something out of it, some compensation, some benefits, both medical and financially.
And will that also be part of your social media accounts? Because I know I share a lot of the Veteran Services
Yeah.
stuff through my social account, so I'm making sure that those educational tools are out there so that we can continue to share and provide the information to veterans in our districts.
Yeah, because you take like the burn pits and whatnot. So I had one of our local veterans here in Summit County who had he was an AO, or he was Camp Lejeune tainted well water. He had non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Passed away a few years ago. It was a terrible disease, and they got that from that well water down there. And you're talking about folks, anybody who served more than 30 days at Camp Lejeune from 1954 to 1987. That's a lot of people. You know, that's why these attorney outfits and these claims outfits they see that big dollar amount, and it's huge. But again, they lie to them because they don't even know what that amount's going to be, and they already told us they wouldn't know what kind of amount on those. That's a lawsuit, and that's different from filing a claim. They wouldn't even know the number until 2024 this year, and yet they're promising these people they're going to get this and they're going to get that, and it's just total BS is what it is.
And I know there's a lot of very specific cases and very specific situations that the Veterans Service Commission can offer
Right.
assistance to veterans, but I think even just the everyday type of support is really important to make sure we're clear in that message so that they know it doesn't have to be necessarily this big, because some of them hit and they get very popular and they're all over social media and there's much more attention to it versus some of the day-to-day services that you provide for our veterans every day.
Oh yeah, just like the transportation. You know, we run a local shuttle to pick them up all the way around from downtown and Metro Center to the VA clinic or up to us and bring them back. Some of them don't have a ride. They have to go what we call a C&P exam or exam for service-connected illness that we've filed a claim for. They don't have transportation, so we provide that. We'll take them like to Parma if that's where they got to go to the VA, or take them to the Cleveland appointment. Plus, we're running 5 days a week, transporting veterans every day to Louis Stokes Medical Center in Cleveland. We'll average anywhere from 1,500 to 2,000 a year doing that. And the thing about that is those folks going up there, we have a great little clinic here in VA. And that basically takes care of their basic needs, and that's like your family doctor. Any of those that we're transporting to Cleveland, VA, those are going up to see specialists, oncologists, cardiologists. They're getting chemo treatments, bypass surgery. And again, That means the VA takes care of that and picks up the tab for all those bills. And some of those folks with low income, if they had to go in a hospital down here like Suma, the taxpayer would end up having to take care of that.
Just really quickly, another partner I think that could be useful is like the funeral directors associations, because veterans come in there and their families come in there all the time. If there was just some handbill or sort that just kind of delineated some basic stuff.
We already do that.
I've never.
You should have by now, because I mean, I've been to the associations and I've had my service officer. We even developed, I'll get one for you.
Yeah, I'm an outreach for funeral.
Yeah,
home
we
of
have,
Cleveland,
we
that
designed
kind.
one that was specifically to give to funeral homes for
Yeah,
information.
I've never seen one, so
Well-
I'm just saying, just if you.
Yeah, we can do that. We'd be more than happy to get you anything you want on the information, ma'am.
Hey, Larry, isn't that Western Reserve for the veterans? I think they provide the burial service and the
Yes.
plots, and there's a cremation.
Yeah, that's, one thing. We provide, if the family doesn't have the wherewithal, obviously, through the counties, we provide up to $1,000 for funerals. Again, and of course, the most inexpensive way is to go cremation. And we've noticed a lot of where we used to do local cemeteries, because of Western Reserve, we probably have over 300 Summit County veterans buried there now. There's about 42,000 and something at the VA cemetery in Rittman. In fact, they just bought the golf course next door and they're going to expand it. We were just there December 17th. I volunteered to go there, and we set Christmas wreath on all the veterans' graves. And this year we set 13,700 Christmas wreath with big red bows on it for the guys. So it's always a good time to go to that. Yeah.
I'll move on this.
Larry, I have a question for you.
Yes, ma'am.
When you go to do the ads and stuff, is there any way that we could get a copy of every ad that's ran? I don't know if anybody else does, but like, so we can let our local VFW, like, in our districts, or we could just put on our social media?
Yeah, we can work out. I'll get with Dave Burden, who he's our project manager on that. I'll get with Dave and we'll see what we can get out to you.
Okay, thank you.
I'll get that through Mark.
And I know funeral directors, like, I just, when I buried my parents here, they ask you, the individual, the deceased, if they have, if they served in the service or anything. So it's the director's responsibility to ask each individual family.
Yes.
And then, so they already know what's provided by the Veterans Affairs, so.
Yeah, they call us like, newcomer calls me all the time, as far as that, and when they got somebody, they identify them like that, and we do. This is the way it goes. Now, some of them don't understand too that it's kind of funny. A lot of those older guys took out life insurance while they were in. Well, after 30 years, they forgot it. So one thing I automatically do in the service I was trained to do is we call Philadelphia VA Regional Office up, because they're the ones that have all we need is their social, and they're the ones that have life insurance. And these guys forgot, and we'll find out that they still got another $umpteen-thousand in life insurance money they forgot all about. But that's very helpful to the family, especially if they're struggling.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Wilhite, you move?
Yes.
All right.
Good.
We have a motion from Mr. Wilhite. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? All right, motion passes.
Great, thank you. Thank you for your time.
Okay. 2024-012, a resolution confirming the award by the Board of Control of a purchase contract with Communications Venture, Inc., DBA in Digital, subject to the approval of the Information Technology Board for the installation, integration, and 1 year of service for TextD software to allow the public to text 911 for emergency services in an amount not to exceed $96,264.36 for the Executive Department of Public Safety and declaring an emergency.
Good evening, Lori Pesci, Executive's Office, Department of Public Safety. This is a web-based application that we're looking to purchase for all of our dispatch centers in Summit County. Since the various centers are on different systems, we needed something that was a web application. So we are looking to invest in this until the state comes up with some universal solution.
Anybody have any questions on this one? Yes, Ms. McKinney?
So what does it look like if somebody texts 911? Then do they get a message back or a phone call, or how does
If you try and text it now, because we don't accept 911 or we don't accept text messages, you'll get a notice that it wasn't accepted, but otherwise you will get something back in the text message. So if the dispatch center is accepting text messages, you'll get a text message response.
Councilwoman, when this is available, we will work with public safety to make sure we message it broadly throughout Summit County when it is finally available to all Summit County residents.
Okay, thank you.
Good idea.
Do you have a motion on this one?
Just really quickly.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Ms. Greta, so have you seen the application? How it works? Oh, okay, I was just wondering. So, I guess I'm curious as to what that looks like. If I'm texting 911, I get a message back, this is going,
You will get a message back, and then you may get instructions. It just depends on your scenario. So you might be in a situation where you can't make a phone call because you are hiding from a perpetrator or something like that. So the dispatch center is not going to make you call, but there may be additional instructions that are given through that. But like Greta said, we will provide an opportunity for everybody to see how that works, how that functions in the system.
I just assume that you all saw this somewhere.
There is a countywide dispatch group made up of people much smarter than me in the dispatch area that have vetted this whole program and came to this recommendation. So they have looked at a variety of different opportunities to have a text to 911 system.
County in Ohio?
In Summit County.
In Summit County.
Yeah, all of our dispatch centers have representatives on a working group that work together to find usually universal solutions so that we can serve all the constituents and not just pockets based on whatever dispatch center they're using.
Any other questions? I'll move. Okay. Thank you. Motion by Ms. Walters. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. And our third piece today is 2024-013, a resolution confirming the award by the Board of Control of a renewal, first of four, for a professional service contract with Oriana House, Inc. for community corrections services for a one-year term from 1/1/24 through 12/31/24 in an amount not to exceed $9,250,340.35 for the Executive's Department of Public Safety and declaring an emergency.
Lori Pesce, Executive's Office, Department of Public Safety. As it mentions, this is our first of 4 renewals under our community corrections agreement with Oriana House. The various programs we put out an RFP a couple of years ago. Oriana House was the only respondent. So we engaged in a contract with them last year. Our contract terms required a CPI or a 3% increase, so this would be the 3%, I believe, from last year.
Any questions from members of the committee?
So this is just a renewal from
It is a
our-
renewal,
Okay.
yes.
I'll move in.
Any other questions? We have a motion by Ms. Darrow. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Pesce. And I'll close public safety at 5.
Good evening. I'm going to bring Health and Human Service Committee to order. 2024-014, a resolution confirming the award by Board of Control of professional service contract with Clarity Solutions Group, LLC, subject to the approval of the Information Technology Board for automated mail processing services for one-year term for the period of 1/1/24 through 12/31/24 at cooperative purchase pricing in the amount not to exceed $140,000 for the Executive's Department of Job and Family Services and declare an emergency. Thanks, Tom.
Good evening, Tom Jalbert, Executives Job and Family Services. This is an agreement with a consultant to kind of modernize our mail solutions, incoming and outgoing mail, both virtual printing and solutions, so our caseworkers at home can print items in the office and they can be automatically mailed. And then documentation coming in from clients will be in the future automatically routed to the correct caseworker based on the solution that we're working on.
Do I have any questions from committee? Members of council? Do I have a motion?
So moved, Madam Chair.
I have a motion from Mr. Wilhite for 2024014. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. 2024015, a resolution confirming the award by the Board of Control of Change Order Number 1 to a professional service contract with United Labor Agency to add Benefit Bridge Employer Pilot Program services in the amount not to exceed $617,000 for the cumulative increase of 101.82%, for a total amount not to exceed $1,223,000 for the Executive Department of Job and Family Services and declare an emergency.
This is an increase to our United Labor agreement for Benefit Bridge. They are our lead agency in the Benefit Bridge program. We opted into a pilot program that the state put in their biennial budget that includes incentives for employers that help those in our Benefit Bridge program leave public assistance, whether it's leaving one particular program of public assistance or just reducing their benefits. If the employer can do that, they are eligible for incentives up to $5,000 per employee that is affected by this, and it's no more than $100,000 per business, but that's not going to happen.
Do you have any questions from committee?
So the business connects them to Benefits Bridge? Is that how?
It can go
and
both
it's
ways.
An incentive for them to do that?
Yeah, it can go both ways. Either they're already enrolled in our Benefit Bridge program, and then we tell the business about this, and then, or it can go the business, knows about the program and then has other employees that they can refer to us to enroll in the program.
And the businesses are notified only through the employee itself, right? So like if they're working like part-time or whatever, and then they kind of, they know about the program, then they could tell the business.
I mean, it happens that way, or the United Labor Agency is actually reaching out to businesses if they have any employees that could fit in this criteria, and then they would come to us for eligibility.
So how do they find the jobs, though? How do they?
They're already employed, so the business already employs the individual. To be in the program, you have to be working a minimum number of hours per week. This program, they would be increasing their number of hours or their wage in that sense.
So when they get a job, they have to let you guys know where that job is, and then you guys let the employer.
To be in the program, they already have a job.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So do we have any data from, excuse me, Madam Chair, do you mind? Do we have any data from last year?
This is brand new.
So what's the 101.1%?
So the United Labor, their contract was originally just regular Benefit Bridge Services as our lead agency.
So we're adding this.
We're adding money specifically for this program. It's not for their, program as a whole. It's just incentives, like $480,000 specifically is just pass-through incentives for this program.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam.
I'll move.
I have is there any further comments? I have a motion from Ms. Walters on 2024015. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And that will close Health and Human Service Committee.
I'm a delight. I don't know what you're talking about.